Boom! We are here. We are live on Facebook. Mr. Al Stasic, it's the midweek update. How you doing, my friend?
What's going on, Jay?
Man, I love your what kind of sunroof is that, man? You got the big giant sunroof there. Got good lighting on you and everything, man.
Yeah. This is the Ford F-150 Platinum Series. I absolutely love it.
Yep.
And I could close that if I wanted to take a nap, but I leave it open.
I love it.
I love it. Yep.
You look good, man.
How's your week going?
It looks, man, my week's been fantastic. Yesterday, a big day. We'll talk about this here in a minute. Jeff Cook joins eXp Realty, our homeboy, just killing it, man. I'm super excited to have him on the team and be able to work with him every day. Just being partners with a guy like that is fun. It's what we've always kind of wanted, and it's great. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So I've got a little message up here on the screen. So if you're watching right now, and you want to see something cool, type RAD, R-A-D, in the comments and tell me if it works.
R-A-D.
Yeah,
I saw your earlier post on this, and I thought, this sounds like it might be a trick. I don't know if I'm going to fall for his trickery.
Facebook has, I guess, what they call hidden Easter eggs. I think RAD or BFF or you got this with an exclamation point. Anyways, and then it works. Merrill Jinx, what's up, brother? Yeah, so it's working. Cool. So yeah, just a little nugget. Hey, by the way, this is a little tip. Go post that on your profile after you listen to this broadcast, because we're going to drop some serious knowledge here today. We got an excellent show lined up for you today. Some great updates and what's going on and all that good jazz. So anyways, so we'll move past that. So if it works, just let me know in the comments that it works. Pretty cool stuff. So appreciate you guys. Thought y'all would like a little Easter egg hunt for your Facebook today. It's totally random. Yep. Totally random. Nothing but little joys of Facebook that we can provide.
Yes. So about time that Mr. Zuckerberg lets us have a little fun instead of doing all this socializing.
Right.
Serious. Although he did say he was thinking of, there's a rumor out there that he's thinking of running for president. I'm not so sure that's a good idea.
Right. Right. So here's what we called, this is, Eddie Workinger brought this up to me the other day. He said, I know you remember it. He said, you remember the time when we were in Mastermind and you opened the Mastermind with, if you had $10 million in the bank, would you show up to work tomorrow? Remember that question?
Oh yeah.
And he said, you remember what Mike Reese answered to that? And I said, man, you know what? I don't remember. I don't recall what he said. And he said, if the opportunity was big enough. And that was his answer to that. Now, the point of the question was really more around, listen, if you had $10 million in the bank, would you go back to work tomorrow doing the same thing you're doing it today, the same way you're doing it today? And if not, what would have to change in order for you to go back to work?
That was exactly what you said too.
Right. Yeah. And so that was so that's the real question, right? It's like, man, because that's a real tough question for us in real estate, because depending who's always watching here, however long you've been in real estate, that question is gonna the answer to that question is gonna be different based on how many times you built it, tore it down, built it, tore it down, built it, tore it down. It's we all, when we're on stage getting our awards, we're all like, I love real estate, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, the 14-hour days, the grind is the hokey. Right. Let me try to step out.
Get your ass out, then you step in, then you step out.
Right.
I gotta get back in again.
Right. Yeah. So that's just interesting. It's just interesting, right? It's an interesting thought process. So we can see your comments, and you guys can continue to type "you got this" with an exclamation point, by the way, or RAD, I think it is, and try BFF. I think that works too. But I want you to answer that question. Like, honestly, if you had $10 million in the bank, and would you show up to work tomorrow? Would you show up to work tomorrow?
Let's preface it. Would you show up exactly the way that you do today? Would you do the exact same daily activities? Would you work with the same people?
There you go. Yeah. Who would you fire immediately? You don't have to post. Don't link them to that post, to this post in their comments.
Who would you hire immediately?
Right. And you're obviously gonna walk into the office with a little pep in your step. You know what I'm saying? You got 10 million in the bank. You're probably gonna walk in the office a little different, a little bit happier, probably a little bit more spry. But for real, right? Like, what would you change? What would have to change for you to be excited about the opportunity again? And that's the point I'm trying to make. So that's the question that I want you guys to answer. So yes, you would, Robert. Awesome, man. That's good. So you wouldn't change anything. So there's nothing you would change. And if that's the case, man, keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question, though. So my follow-up question would be is, 10 years from today, 20 years from today, do you feel like you're on a track that is going to put you in to a place where you're going to have $10 million in the bank, where you're going to be able to do whatever you want to do? I don't believe that most real estate agents, they usually either expire or retire when they get out of the business. The people in my dad's real estate office, man, I swear there was a lady that was 100 years old selling real estate. She still used the MLS book for like 10 years after they quit using the MLS book. So like most agents, they don't have any kind of exit strategy. And we're going to talk about the exit strategy and why this is where I would start in terms of my thinking. 20 years, they ask me if I'm old enough. Okay. I have 40 years, 20 years in the business. I've got my son selling real estate now. And I'm thinking, okay, if I was doing something, what would I do different today so I can help educate him to make good decisions, right? Like I'm really having to think about it differently than I ever have. And so, I think it's important. So we're going to talk about exit strategy, why that's important. But I want to hit the we hit the $10 million question. I had a little agenda here I could post it, right? So that was the question. If you had 10 million in the bank, would you do, what would you do tomorrow? Would you show up? Would you change something? What would you change? And if not, if you wouldn't change anything, good for you, man. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. And hopefully you're on a track that's going to put you in a place where you can retire at some point. But what I've learned in the last 20 years of selling real estate is that we don't have an asset that's easy to sell. Okay. I built a big company in Oklahoma and I practically gave that away after I stepped out in 2011 for 5 years running it without being there. We sold it to the agents in the company and I made a little bit, but not enough to retire on, folks, not enough to retire on. So, I spent most of my life building that company. And
arguably, you didn't have a small team. You're number 2 Coldwell banker in the world. I'd say, by most people's standards, that's a pretty high level of success. If you had a real estate company that was doing that many transactions, pulling that kind of revenue, you were over $2.5 million in revenue, so to speak. You would think that, well, man, I just built a pretty successful business. I should be able to sell it. And, maybe, at a young age, we wouldn't retire, so to speak, but enough to just really live off of, after all the blood, sweat, tears, and money that you poured into it. It's not like you were trying to sell a small business.
Right.
One of the leaders in our area that I got a lot of respect for put a Facebook post up about that exact question. He said something like, I'm curious, do you know of anybody who's actually retired from real estate, and what did it look like? What did they do? The first person that came to my mind was Rob Flick. The second person that came to my mind was Pat Hyben. The problem is that I can't think of many more past that.
Right.
And there's a difference. Someone would say and this is just a twist on the words or whatever, but someone was saying, pass your book of business down. I believe that there's a little difference between doing something like that. Let's say you were to pass your book of business down to Braden.
Right.
And Braden were to be able to take over that book of business that you've built, which is basically a real estate practice.
Right.
Not so much a business.
Right.
And I was just kind of thinking more in terms of the business, and it was a really great discussion, actually. But I just can't count on one hand that I know too many people that like put in a good 20, 30 years and then sold it and were good. I don't know that.
Right. There is a good argument to be made like that. Yeah. Okay. I could give it to my son, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Let me think about this for a minute. How would I structure that deal? Even for him, I didn't want to put, him in a place like Lawton, Oklahoma. Not that there's anything wrong with Lawton, Oklahoma, but like to build a successful business, even though I built up a ton of brand equity on me as the brand, that's not the place that if I had known what I know today, I wouldn't start over there. I would start somewhere else, Dallas, Texas, where we are today. So, that's just, looking back and hindsight. Nicole Peraza made a comment. She said, my KW profit share was 58 cents today. Can't retire on that. So yeah, Nicole, I'm with you, right? Like that, in theory seemed like a good thing, but what are brokers? Most brokers, they're broke, right? So we're profit sharing off of a broken model, and with brokerages that are broke doesn't make a lot of money. So, and again, not to bash on, anybody particular, but the owner of that company is taking revenue share off the top. So let's, you do the math. It's nearly nearly 500 million, I want to say, off the top. So that's a pretty good business model, right? So that brings me to let's take a look. Who wants to take a peek at the revenue share this month? Anybody want to see it? If you do, make a comment. Let me know. As if you don't want to see it, I won't mess with it. Gordon Day asked a question. Gordon asked the question, top agent considering moving. Who gets the revenue share if you die? If you don't have something structured to take care of that situation, then we all do as owners of the company, because it goes back to the company and we all have ownership. So that's a positive thing, if you will, not to say that there'd be anything positive about anybody dying, but it would go back to the company. However, you have the ability to structure within 12 months, if that were to happen, to put someone else in that seat. Now, I don't know the exact ins and outs of that. It doesn't state real clearly in the ICA what they would approve or not approve. It just states that they would have to approve that person, but I would assume that you could probably put a family member, maybe an executor of an estate or something like that. If they got the real estate license, you could probably structure that deal or, put that money into a trust or whatever. So, it seems, the intention, I think, and that's what I always look for, is what's the intention behind this clause, this legalese. And it appears to me that the legalese is in alignment with wanting to make this revenue last longer than you do. Right.
Yeah. We have ours structured through a corporation. Everything is paid to my company. And, the way we have it set up is that if something were to happen to me, obviously we're partners in this deal. We just would need a licensed real estate agent, to take over really my spot in that company, because the company holds the placeholder with that. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of clarity on how they've structured that.
Cool. So I'm going to share this, the screen here and show you the revenue share. A few of you said you would like to see that. So this, Al, you don't mind me sharing yours, do you?
I don't mind. Just, block out my name.
Oh, too late. So Al has been with the company. Hold on. Make sure everybody can see that. Can everybody see? Nope, you can't see it. I did it again. I did it this time though. So now y'all can see it. So let me make it a full screen. We going solo with the rev share. Here you go. All right. So now y'all can see it, right? So Al, you're in what month 6?
Yeah. The end of this month, I think it'll be number 7 on, what are we, March now? April 1 will be 7 months. Yeah. So okay. I'm in month 6.
So I was told this morning, I talked to Scott Lewis, and I was told a couple things now that I've heard just, multiple times, just worth repeating, that, you can expect the revenue share to double in the months of May, June, July, August. So right now, sitting at $22,888 a month in passive revenue share. And I think it's always interesting. Look at what it was last month, 9,302. And obviously there's more dollars in here that actually what's going to get paid. I'm not going to try to explain it because it's super complex, but it's just the way that they collect and post the monies onto this account. So, and if nothing else, you can see Albie's doing okay for 6 or 7 months and being at eXp with 26 agents and 357 in your rev share group. Currently, Albie, I believe that we're pacing to break every record as far as growth that the company has experienced. So pretty fun stuff right there. But
could I throw an objection at you though?
You sure can.
But Jay, you have that, but you have Jay Kinder. That's why you got Jay Kinder. I got this from a real good friend of ours.
I got the same thing today.
Huh?
Yeah. I got the same comment today.
Hopefully he's watching. And
right.
But yeah, you're Al, or you're Jay, or you're Mike. I mean, I get that, I get that results could vary, and these maybe are not going to be typical for most, but I will say this: there are a lot of folks who are in they've positioned themselves, even better than what you're seeing right here, and you may never even have heard that they've sold real estate. They, and what we're talking about is that influencer, right? Obviously, we know a lot of influencers. The reason why that we're seeing the growth is because we have systematically made deposits over the last, how many years? You've been doing this for 20 years. You've probably been coaching for at least 5 of those. I'm sorry, 15 of those.
Right.
And I've been at this for about 10. And without us probably even knowing, we've been systematically making deposits in the lives of real estate agents all along the way.
Right.
The only reason is because you can't make a withdrawal unless you've made deposits. And I think that's just the lesson, it goes back to the principles of people only care about how much you care about them. And I've watched this. I've had the unique experience and privilege to be involved with NAEA and the coaching, and I've coached dozens and dozens of real estate agents. And I mean, I'm just going to say this: when I was coaching for you guys, I was not doing it for the money, guaranteed. That wasn't the reason I was doing it. I was doing it because I believed in it. Sure, the money was great, but I had a very successful business at the time. I didn't need a second job. And really, it's just, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed helping agents grow. I helped them. I liked helping them solve problems and helping them grow their business. And here's the good news: I'm still doing that. I'm just doing it at a real happier level, for whatever reason that is, and it's because of the alignment that this company has allowed, and how they've aligned the compensation of the growth with the agent. They've given every single agent in this company and everyone that will join the same opportunity to grow, just like what we're seeing right now. And I just wanted to bring that up because I didn't even know you got that objection. I got that objection last night, right before I did it
right before I got on this call.
Was it?
Right before I got on this call. Yep.
So what would you tell somebody?
I mean, so here's what's up, Jeremy Bowers? What's up? Bowers is a monster. He's how many people you recruited, over the years, Jeremy? You might post that. I'd like to see what that number is. But the bottom line is, man, it's ridiculous opportunity. And at the end of the day, we'll look at mine now. I think it's, let me go solo. I'm learning how to navigate this little thing now. I'm having fun. All right. So mine's at 14,144 this month, 95 new, 2 exited. And what I've been told, that the growth, the month over month growth, okay, that you can expect at eXp is between 8 to 21%. This is coming from Scott Lewis, who's been in for a long time, probably one of the first people in, and that's kind of what those numbers were. So let me bring us both on the screen again. So
I think we were 35% month over month from last month to this month.
Right. So we're the first 4 or 5 months you really can't. I'm getting notifications. We got a cat. We got a lead. We got a sighting for my cat. The saga continues.
Oh.
My wife last night tried to convince me that a cat could be taken over state lines and still potentially find its way back home. Now, I watch a lot of Disney movies, and I'm pretty sure that story's bullshit. Okay. So, if somebody, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, and I had somebody tell me I was wrong already today, that cats can be taken over state lines. And I'm like, how far over state lines? Are we talking 100, 200 miles? Because if that cat can find its ass way back, then cats are phenomenal creatures. Okay. Because that shit ain't happening. It's going to get ate by a coyote long before it makes it back home. So I might be wrong.
That cat found himself a female cat. He's down in Mexico right now with a Corona. And he's just laughing. He's looking on Facebook and he's just laughing at you.
Yeah, he's either sipping a Corona in Mexico right now, or he's in one of these barns around my house out here, banging a bunch of other cats, feral cats, and just loving life. He's doing one of the two, but he's not worried about being lost right now.
Nope, he's having fun.
He's like, they let me at the door open and let me out. I'm never coming back in. All right, so that's terrible. So Bowers said, what do you say? What's the difference between KW and eXp direct? The difference is the opportunity. That's a difference. Show me your opportunity at Keller Williams. What's your opportunity? You gonna sell more houses? But you're gonna expand? Show me the expansion numbers. Show me how much money you're making in the expansion. Anybody want to jump on here and battle? Show me your P&Ls. Show me how much money you've invested in it last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. What are you going to sell it? What are you going to sell it for? What's it worth? 1.5 times EBITDA? How long do you got to stay in it for? In the deal. When you get true down to truth, right? That one principle of what's true. Just look for truth and don't buy into what you want it to be. What's true. You can't, you just know it's not going to be worth more than 1.5 times, your profits.
Well, the argument came up again, I think yesterday or something like that. Not really an argument, but the conversation was about expansion, and there's a mega agent, and he's extremely successful, has his own, coaching university thing and everything. And the person I was talking to is actually coaching with this guy. He's highly respected. And he says, I think that he'd probably go, he's going to do expansion before he would look at going through to eXp. And I said, well, expansion's a great idea, but it boils down to the goal. The book, The Goal, talks about it's the theory of constraints. And so if you're looking at the goal and you have a constraint, he who has the least amount of constraints will have a better opportunity to getting from A to B to get to the goal. And the goal with expansion is expanding into other markets, having the ability to do that quickly. And I mean, I think Gary Keller would mention that, minimally get ready to burn through $250,000 if you're going to do this thing the right way.
Right.
And many businesses, that is the investment that you're looking at. But we know that because we don't have the constraints of having to ask somebody for permission to come to their market and start recruiting agents. There's no permission. If you see agents, if I saw agents over in Lawton, Oklahoma, and there's no market centers or anything like that but if I wanted to partner with that group of people on whether it's administrative, lead gen, all the things that really put the expansion model together, because that's what they do. They scale administrative, they scale lead gen, and then they expand. Those constraints have kept really, really smart people that are leading really big expansion teams out of certain markets. Namely, San Diego is one of them. We know this for a fact. The family that owned that market center said, nope, no thank you. We don't want that here. And then you got to go figure it out and find another one to do. On top of that, there's the financial piece of that constraint means that you're going to have a lot more overhead as it relates to company dollar going to KW. You got to pay another cap.
A lot of red tape.
Those constraints just do not exist in our business model. And that is the reason why we're growing as fast as we have. We have lack of constraints. And anyways, I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, that's a big deal, man. It's a big deal. And they see that almost instantly, it seems like, when you're looking at comparing the two. But all right. So Jeremy Bowers, he's got us on a roll here. He's got a good one here. So for me, I'm focusing on investments now. But when I get back in brokerage or team, eXp seems more flexible on expansion and downline. It seems more aggressive. Questions: if you recruit a $3 million person, what would you get paid at KW versus eXp? Curious. All right. So let's do the math. Oh, you can't do the math at Keller Williams because you don't know what the profit's going to be in the market center. So would you get paid on a $3 million producer? Probably not. You got a $3 million producer at eXp. You get the full percentage of whatever their cap is because they're going to hit the cap at $3 million. So, at 80,000 GCI, you're a full capping agent. If you pay in 80,000 GCI, if you get 80,000 in GCI, you're going to be a full capping agent. So you would get the full amount of revenue share for that person. Where at Keller Williams, you don't know because you don't know what the profit is, and it's impossible to know what the profit's going to be in each market center, and every one of them's done, is handled differently. But I want to get you with some math. So thank you for that clarification question, Jeremy. So let's do some math, brother. So you're in investments. So tell me this. See if you can back into this number for me. So Albie, what was your number? 22,000 a month, something like that. 22,800.
Yeah.
So how much capital do you have to have in capital to create 22,000 a month in passive income? And in what vehicle would you do that? So let's say if it was in cash at whatever the market rate is on, interest on that money, on return on investment of wherever you might park it. Let's not be too aggressive. Let's just use whatever percentage you tell me that you want to use that y'all feel is a good number. How much money would you have to create in profits in order for you to out of your current real estate business, in order to have $22,000 a month in passive revenue? Does that make sense? I know Bowers is probably already doing the math. I know him. So all right. So we got some other questions. So no one even knows the formula after it goes through profitability. Right. It's impossible to know. Right. So just throw the words out of my mind. No way to know. Right. Steve Reeman, what's up, brother? Assuming the same risk factor, low. Okay. So yeah. So if anybody can do that math, how much, that would be, I'd be interested in seeing what it comes out to be. I'm assuming it's going to be a large number, because you got to, after you got to profit, and you got to pay taxes on your profit in your business. And then you have this cash now that you can invest, try to park somewhere so you can create a passive income stream. There's a game. Hold on. I might have the game. Hang on. I'm okay. I'm okay.
The hell was that?
To illustrate my point, there's a little game. Where are we at? There's a little game called Winning in the Cash Flow Game. If you haven't played it, with Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. And you know what the game is all about? It's about getting out of the rat race all day, going round and round in the rat race. And once you get out of the rat race, and you can, that means that you've paid all your living expenses. Really cool game, actually, by the way. But you're paying all your living expenses. You're in the cash flow game, meaning your expenses are covered by your cash flow from your investments, right? So that's the game that we should all be playing. So like when I talk about exit strategy, let me tell you something, guys. The game ain't try to make more money. The game ain't how many transactions and how many trophies you can get selling real estate. The game is how do you get passive income coming in that pays your living expenses so you can live a life by a strategy, and not by I got to go to work every day until I'm 80 selling real estate. That's the game you're trying to get into. What are your monthly expenses, and how do you get to a passive revenue stream that covers that? And then you can do whatever the hell you want to do. So that's the game we're all playing. I'll pick up that mess later. But that's the game we're all playing, guys. And so I don't know what that is. So 5.8 million, Jared Jones. Thank you, banker. You can always count on your bankers to hook you up. Thank you, Jared. Appreciate that. So 5.8 million is 6%. So to put this in perspective, somebody want to shoot this down and tell me I'm crazy or I'm wrong, that's fine. I'd like to hear it. But Al Stasic, in 6 months, going on 7 months, if that were your exact payout, and it won't be your exact payout, we already know that, but it'll be close to that probably next month, you're talking about you would need to have $5.8 million in revenue that you would also pay taxes on. I'm not sure if Jared took the taxes out or not, but $5.8 million at 6% interest in order to have the same revenue stream, the cash flow stream that Al has created in that short period of time. So do we want to ask this question again? Let me ask this question. Where is it? It's part of my agenda, so I want to throw it on the screen. Show why are agents like Jeff Cook joining eXp? And I go back to the $10 million question that we started with, and it's because the opportunity is big enough. Why would Jeff Cook move 110 agents over to eXp when he's doing just fine on his own? Because
let me ask you this, Jay.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he have just taken an offer from the dozens of companies that are probably, that more than likely were throwing checks at him to buy his company?
Because well, I would have to default to Jeff to answer that question. I don't know what checks, if any, he's been offered. I know he's probably had people come along and try to make him an offer. I know that Compass has been notorious. We've got somebody we're announcing in the next couple of days that got offered $400,000 from Compass. They got flown in by Gary Keller to Gary Keller's office, and he turned down both of those opportunities to join eXp because there's no opportunity in Keller Williams. I don't care if you nail the data or not. That doesn't change my end of my life. I'm going to still be selling real estate. There's no opportunity in that. So, that's great if they nail that, but they're missing the one thing that makes people like us excited, and that's opportunity. That's all. That's what they're missing. So, I don't know what he was offered, but my guess, we do the math and we talked about it. We just talked about it a little bit earlier. You're probably looking at whatever your profits are, 1.5 to 3 times EBITDA is what the valuation is going to be. and they're going to ask you to stay on for 3 years. So you're basically saying, if you got 3 times your profit and you stay on 3 years, what did you do? You just should have just kept the damn company. They're paying you with your own money. So, that's what people are experiencing. Is that the point you were wanting to make out?
That was and I just wanted to pose the question so you could answer it that way, because I know that several people that have already joined us have had those offers, thrown at them. And it's never what you think it's going to be. I know Kyle Whistle had talked on it. Dan Beer had talked on it. You're basically getting paid with your own money. You might as well just keep it. So the question is that really an exit strategy, coming in and get bought? I know someone said, I'm going to grow my own independent company out and then hopefully get bought. It's a strategy, no doubt. The question is that the right strategy?
Right.
And I think you illustrated a great point that, the other underlying factor with all of this goes back to your first question, which was, if you had $10 million in the bank, would you still keep doing what you're doing? This is confessional time. Okay. We're in the safe tree. Everyone listening right now, we're in the safe.
No, we were in the safe tree.
I probably, during the years that I saw the most success of my company grow, I'm not saying that we didn't have fun, because we had a blast. Okay. But I can't tell you that I've had as much fun and excitement and spring in my step in the last 6 months than I've had probably maybe in my entire career.
No question.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
We've done a lot.
And let's make that point.
A lot of lives.
We have a lot of fun and have always had a lot of fun.
Right.
But what you're saying is true. I've not had this much fun. I would definitely, I said this today to somebody, I don't even remember who I was talking to. And I was like, I would still pick up the phone. When my phone goes off today, Brent Gove just landed. Mr. Gove is in Dallas, Texas right now. So we're going to get to see him tomorrow, or the day tomorrow, right? Yeah, tomorrow. We'll see him tomorrow on Friday. And I get to work every day with people like that I love and adore, and I get to help grow a company together with people that I love spending time with. This is the best. It's the best day of my life every day. And I also have a door now to my office. Boom. So my kids can't get through. They actually can. They can get through anything. I've noticed they're like water. They don't have anything that can stop them. But they're not here today. They're at school. So, but no, man, this is just it's an opportunity of a lifetime. That's why we're doing it, guys. It's not like we couldn't have done something else. This is a better strategy. It's a better exit strategy. It's a better long term. Great day.
Best day ever.
Have the most fun of your life. So Cynthia Grimes asked a question actually. What is the risk of collapse of the company if a mega agent with a large portion of stock shares leaves the company and cash out their stock? There's really zero risk in terms of the stock. I mean, if they wanted to cash out their stock, there's not a lot. You can buy stock right now, so you can buy it over the counter. So there's not, I don't see any risk. I don't know anybody who has a tremendous amount of. It's actually an interesting question. I don't know that I know the answer to that actually, because in theory, if someone cashed out all of their stock, it could be something potentially that would take a lot of cash out of the company. So I'm not real sure what the downside to that would be. I will find out the answer though, because I don't know it and I want to know it now. So interesting, good question. And then she has something else too. So how long can this model last? Here's the thing, man. We were talking this morning. This is not just a U.S. company. Okay, this is not just U.S. and Canada. And every day somebody reached out for me from Manitoba today. Frank. It looks like his last name is Versace, but it may not be. But if his last name is Versace, I think he's got the coolest name ever. And just people are interested. They're looking into it. They're just peeking through the window. But we've had people want to open Belize, Mexico, Australia. All over the country, and their whole goal, they're going to add mortgage, they're going to add title, they're going to go international. This is not just they're talking 25 million agents, at some point for eXp. That's, how big is this opportunity? As somebody this morning was telling me, if you don't do it now, I'm just not going to do it because the opportunity, is really right now and not going to be later. Da, 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 da. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, this opportunity. There's going to be people getting paid lots and lots and lots of money that got in 5 years from today, probably, because the opportunity is just so big.
Yeah, I'll pose the question this way. What would the question was how long can it sustain? That's, I guess you're assuming that it's not sustainable. Well, let's just talk about what's the difference between something sustainable or not sustainable. And I know we always beat up the whole analogy with Blockbuster and Netflix, but you want to use a different company, let's use a different company.
Right.
Let's use Toys R Us versus Amazon. I mean, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, a company that has the least amount of overhead, the least amount of risks tied to things like brick and mortar offices, leases, that reduces expenses in a business model dramatically. Also, when you have less overhead as it relates to payroll for particular offices, that reduces. The other thing is let's look at the lack of constraints on growth. There are no constraints on the growth. When KW wants to expand, they have to, it has to be done a proper way. You got to find X amount of, first of all, it can't be around anywhere else, any other, and that has to be approved. Their ability to grow right now has constraints that we simply don't, and we have less expenses. So the question could be posed another question back, which is, well, KW has done pretty darn good, even with all the constraints that they've had. So I would say that we do have a sustainable model. I believe that there's room for everybody too. I mean, look, Keller ain't going anywhere. Now there are going to be some market share shifting that's going to be happening, because right now what's happening is the mega agents are all starting to shift over. You mentioned that person who went and visited Gary, number one. They're number one in their market. A lot of the number ones are all coming. And why that's a problem for market centers is because they may not make any money profit-wise off of them, because the Keller model, they run the market center expenses all off of the megas, the mega agents and the big producers, and all the profit lies in the half cappers, typically. So if the big uns keep coming, that's going to be cutting square into the profitability of each one of these market centers. That's my opinion from what I know about the model. So I'd say we have a much more sustainable model, and we can pivot. The other thing is that what if the market shifts and we needed to pivot somewhere? We can pivot like that. When you have hundreds and hundreds of franchise agreements and leases, you can't pivot out of that. You just can't. So,
right on.
Yeah, that's my answer. We love you, Cynthia.
There's some good answers there too. Yeah, we would just buy the stock. Obviously, there's always buyers in the market when somebody sells. So I should have known the answer to that.
Yeah,
but I didn't on the spot.
We'll clobber. I'll buy it.
Right. Yeah. There's no question. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's always buyers in every market, good or bad. There's always a buyer.
Actually, Mike Reese touched on this on a phone call we had with another agent, because it was a similar question that was posed. And he said it just with I mean, you can go back and look at the history of a lot of these companies that saw a lot of quick growth and the stock dipped. What happened with Facebook when it went up and then it dipped? Right. What did people do? They went in and bought it. Because they saw opportunity, because they understood that the model was just going to keep growing. And the indication, when you have literally a line at the door, which we have a line at the door right now, there are 3,000 agents we're onboarding currently right now. That's what the word is from corporate. There's 3,000 agents at the door waiting to, get processed, get onboarded, and join in this amazing movement. So I think then looking at the lead indicators, I think we're positioned to continue this hockey stick, and to me that's sustainable. And we cross the bridge when there's a line of 3,000 agents at the door at your brokerage, and we only have two. Right. Maybe we can have that conversation.
Yeah, it's funny. It's I've never seen anything like this. I keep saying that, but I've never seen anything like it. And there's more. I've never seen the kind of demand of agents wanting to join a brokerage. Think about that. I mean, in all the years that we've been doing this, has anybody had their biggest problem was they couldn't get them hired and onboarded fast enough. Like you couldn't put their chairs together for their office fast enough, right? Like that kind of problem.
Yeah.
That's, I've never seen this in a real estate company before, and that's what we're experiencing every day. So you definitely want to move faster.
Well, look at,
slower.
If we're being honest, we did have to just recently pick up a little bit more of an expense. We had to hire a full-time onboarding concierge because we're part of the problem of causing this clog in the at the front door. And,
right.
I'm not going to apologize for that, but we've picked up a little bit of expense, but guess what? It's substantiated.
Right.
I'm still way in the black and will continue to be. And now it's just about trying to help smooth out these processes, because I think what the one lady said, I went into agent services last week when we were starting the onboarding for Mr. Cook, and I believe her comment was they've never onboarded a bigger team than the Jeff Cook real estate team. So
we hit a record there for sure, man. We're sure happy to have Jeff Cook on board, and I know his phone's ringing off the hook, man.
Yeah. You like that text I sent him?
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that.
Hey, by the way, mark off your calendar for the next 6 months ish.
Don't plan on seeing your beautiful children.
Right. And wife. I can't. I had one of our clients today that I had a call with that she was a little bit kind of perplexed at why I didn't call her and tell her that we'd made this move, and she doesn't really mess around too much with social media. And, I had to explain to her, I was like, I haven't called anybody. So don't feel bad. It's not just you. I haven't called anybody. I haven't sent an email. I haven't done anything. We've done these Facebook Lives, and that's about it. And I don't think if you're an influencer, whether you think you're not an influencer, but if you're a small influencer in your market, if you just doing this, especially with us helping you to do it too, we can help you with some good strategy on how to do this. But when you make that move, you're going to be, people will come out of the woodwork. They're all watching. It's almost like everybody knows about eXp now, and they're all watching. And as soon as someone they know in their market moves, they're like, well, I can't believe you did that. And then they want to talk to you about it. And then it's game over.
Yeah. Well, look, how many shares? I haven't looked at it since yesterday when I went to bed, but what did we say? He was at 290 shares on Jeff Cook's announcement. 290 people shared that, and there were over 800 comments. Has he had over 1,000 yet on the comments?
I'm sure. I don't know. I would like to get to that number. So everybody share this, and everybody who watches this, y'all share this. We're going to see if we can beat Jeff Cook's number. If we do, I'll buy you all some stock in eXp.
Yes.
So, no, seriously though, if you think this is good information that people should be watching and paying attention to, share this. We would love for you to.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, anything else before we get going? Does anybody else have any questions? I'm doing some live training today, so I'm about to jump on and do some training.
Oh yeah, tell us about the training that you're doing.
Today's training is on trust-based marketing. So how to really become the go-to agent in the marketplace. Around positioning, being positioned as the expert advisor, some of the stuff that's pretty standard procedure for us, but we've got some new agents that are going to be a part of that. So I'm going to go through that, and we're documenting all this training too, and we're building clocks. So once this training is done, everyone will have access to it at eXp within our downline, anyways. So they're just trying to make everything that we've ever done, do it perfect so that anybody can go through that and kind of learn our methodology for how we've helped so many agents grow their business. So it'll be fun. Looking forward to that. What else we got? When are you flying in?
What's that?
When are you flying tomorrow?
Yeah, I fly in tomorrow. I think I get there like around 1-ish your time. I leave at 11:30 my time here. I can't wait to come to Dallas.
Big D?
Yep.
All right.
I'm coming. I got a little surprise too. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I got a little surprise.
All right, I'm looking. Albie brings good surprises, so I'm looking forward to that.
You're gonna like this one,
right?
But I want to give you a little props on the NAEA training. We brought a new agent on recently from. I know this doesn't mean nothing to most of the people watching, but it's Youngstown, which is about an hour and a half outside of my market. We brought this. Sorry about that. I had a call. We brought this person onto the team. He's a brand new agent who just was licensed in December. And when he came to us, he was with Remax out there. It was one of his relatives that I think owned it. And I'm not even sure how he found us. But he did. And he goes, man, I've done 14 transactions already. 14 transactions he's already done, right? And he's like, man, I'm ready to take it to the next level, this and that. He wanted to grow his business through eXp, and he wanted to partner with us to help him. And we are doing that. Well, when we gave him the NAEA login, this is a guy, you're talking about someone who just takes it and he is just consuming this training at a faster rate than I've seen anyone do. He already went out. He took, like, when he did the seller counseling interview training, he went out, set his own appointment, and went out and took a listing like that. And that, and
right.
It's just a consumer. It was just so cool to see it click with someone who, and he's newer in the industry. He's only been licensed 3 years, and that is an anomaly. You don't normally see someone licensed 3 months and come out and sell 14 houses. It never happens. But this guy, Don, he's a great guy. He's a driver. He's a ex-wrestler, and now he's a wrestling coach. So, he's a badass on top of that.
Right.
And, man, failure isn't an option. He is moving forward, and he's following the NAEA training, the Expert Advisor Home Selling System training. And guess what? He's getting results. Wow.
Imagine that. You mean that shit works? I can't believe that works.
Yeah. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
I wanted to share that with you.
That's great, man. I always love hearing that, man. That's, it's just like anything, man. One thing we can kind of finish with this, I had some, and I'll go ahead and I'm not throwing him under the bus here, but I'm going to go ahead and put his name out there. So Matt Chase, I was texting with him yesterday, and he texted me back. I was telling him, I was like, man, like, dude, you're going to end up 10 years down the road. You're going to realize your ladder's against the wrong wall. I'm just telling you, man, look at this revenue share and look at what you're doing. Great. You had a great, $10 million quarter, killing it. Good job. And I'm proud of you for that. But that 10 turns into 40 million. That's that transaction treadmill. I got on it. I ran on it for a long time. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't building any residual or any wealth with my business. And that's the game ain't just about, making money, income. It's about how do you build wealth. And, so he texted me back. Anything works if you work it. That was his comment. Anything works if you work it. He's cutting
and pasting that shit because he sent that same thing to me.
It was on his wall behind his office, in his office. And you know what I'm saying? Like, don't buy into your own, too much into your own stuff, right? Like, when I started thinking about it, I was like, man, I ain't trying to bust his balls, but I don't think it's true or false. That's I think I posted this in the comments for the last thing we'll talk about today. And is that true? Is it true? Anything works if you work it? Is it true or false? What do you think? I don't know.
I would ask the people watching. Please put in there true or false. Anything works if you work it. Right. Inquiring minds need to know.
Right. Yeah. So there's some things that I've tried to do that just didn't work. Right. Like I work it really fucking hard and it didn't work. It depends on what the goal is, I think. Right. So like, and what's our most common phrase that we've said for the last 15 years is, man, there's got to be a better way. You know what I mean? So like, don't get so caught up in, man, like I'm just working my thing. I'm doing my thing. Like that's what Jeff Cook didn't do. Jeff Cook said, this is a better way. I'm going to pivot right now, move all 100 of my agents over to eXp, and we're going to go this way because it's a better way. That way didn't exist a year ago, 2 years ago, for him, at least in the capacity that it does today. And I think that's what you got to always be looking for, man. Is there a better way? Am I being radically open-minded? Am I buying into some of my own thinking? You know what I'm saying? It's okay to think for yourself, but first listen, ask questions, get clear on the goal. What am I trying to accomplish? Where am I going to be 10 years from today? If I keep doing what I'm doing, am I getting closer or further away from my goals? So, here or there, some people say true, false, whatever the case may be. Let's see, a few people said false. A few people say, true. So, yeah, so work, yeah, right? Like, but if, it's all about opportunity cost. You can work this really hard, and then 10 years from today, I can tell you where I was in a lot, 10 years in the business in Lawton, Oklahoma. Sure, I had some success by some people's measures. Was I building wealth? No, I wasn't. What I invested in at that time, and I'm not going to get into the rental property and stuff like that, but that didn't turn out to be the best investment in terms of passive revenue. And here we are in a company where it can be done in 6 months, and I spent 10 years trying to do it. So that's the point we're making, man.
I would actually agree. I would say that anything works if you work it. And that statement would be true, predicated on the fact that if I went out and knocked 100 doors a day in a neighborhood, it might work. I may actually get a listing out of it eventually, whatever, versus if I made 100 phone calls a day or spent the same amount of time making calls, I could probably make 600 calls, and I'm working the same amount of time, but it's more efficiently. It's safe to say that my results aren't going to be the same. So the question is, does the company you align with matter? Does it matter whether you're independent? I know a lot of people who have a broker's license and they could leave, whether it's Remax, Keller Williams, eXp, myself, you, we could just go open up tomorrow. If the company didn't matter, then we would all just be independent, and there would be no need for an eXp or KW. But if the company's value propositions and what they offer do align with your growth, then the company, it absolutely does matter.
Right. Yeah, I think the business model is what matters, right? Like, there
you go.
I had a couple of conversations, one with the top 30 Keller Williams expansion team. I'm not sure how they rank them anymore, like if that's separate or if that's everybody or whatever. And, that was the conversation, we were having is it's the business model, right? Like, the business model you're currently in isn't going to deliver the same opportunity as this business model. So, you can stay true to your course and keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to end up, with your ladder up against that wall and no real opportunity, or there's another opportunity. And, he was open-minded enough to do the two things I'm telling everybody they should do. You should pay attention to what's being said and who's saying it, why they're saying it, and you should ask questions and learn. You have to be radically open-minded in order to do that, and then come to your own conclusions and think through what it is that you should do. And that's the advice that I would give anybody. And if you come to a different answer than I did, then good, you did your due diligence as far as whatever you come up with. So yeah. So anyways, that's it, man. I've got to jump. I know we got to jump. Appreciate you all on here. I see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of friends, a lot of people that we're business partners with, and I'm happy and proud to be working with you guys, and looking forward to anybody else. And messages, guys. Listen, all I do is I'm on calls all day, or I'm on Facebook Live. That's about it. So me and Al both are happy to talk to you, get clarity, get you on a call with the CEO, whoever you want to talk to. However we can help you. So reach out to us, and thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week. And we see you here at eXp.
I'll see you in Dallas.
I'll see you in Dallas. That's not what we say at eXp.
No.
I'll either see you at the top
or in Dallas.
No. Or at the lake.
Or at the lake. See you
right.
See you tomorrow.
Later. See you guys.